Welcome to Hip Hop Now Podcast. If you're from the future, you know what to do. Get your ass out of here. Don't disrespect the legend. Hip Hop is here to stay. Let's get right into the business.
What up, y'all? I am your host, Vegas, and this is Hip Hop Now Podcast, a podcast designed to keep you caught up on all things hip hop, music, and culture that happen throughout the week. Big shout out and salute to the supporters of this very podcast who support this show, who have brought you the video version of this show over at patreon.com/hiphopnow. And if you would like to learn how you can become a producer of this podcast and get exclusive material, get it now before the price go up. I'm just saying, you can visit that link in the description of this episode. Big shout out to hiphopdx.com and allhiphop.com, the source magazine.com, and a couple of other places where I'm getting some of these stories from. Now, y'all know how I do. Let's get right into the business. There's a new Tupac docuseries coming out, and I know. What could this be about now? But this is cool. Check it out. The new Tupac docuseries. This is coming from hiphopdx.com. Shout out to them. The new FX series entitled Dear Mama is set to premiere on April 21st, with the first of 2 5 episodes released concurrently. The remaining 3 parts will then be delivered weekly on the following 3 Fridays. The show will also stream on Hulu one day after its network broadcast, which is dope. But check it out. What is it about? What do you mean, Dear Mama? Tupac and his mother, Afeni Shakur, have become the subjects of a new docuseries that promises never before shared content as it looks at their unique relationship. So, this here is directed by Alan Hughes, who also directed The Defiant Ones. That was the docuseries about the relationships and the life and careers of Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine. It was excellent. It was shot beautifully. It was put together beautifully. Obviously, we hip hop heads know a lot about Dr. Dre. I felt like I learned something about Dr. Dre. Music heads know a lot about Jimmy Iovine. I felt like I learned something about Jimmy Iovine, and we learned something about their relationship. Now, those who are Tupac fans, hip hop heads, whatever you may be, know Tupac Shakur and his mother's relationship for the most part. Delivered by Tupac in the song Dear Mama. I will say this. I'm cautiously optimistic. Why? I know some of y'all think, it's about his mother. They both go about. We know. I'm cautiously optimistic only because I feel like when it comes to Tupac, sometimes we've gone to the well so much that if you're a Tupac fan and you've absorbed everything from articles to stories to people going on, YouTube and talking about it from every angle, you feel like you know everything. Now, the hook is never before seen. Now, if you follow me, if you follow this podcast and you can subscribe, it's all on all platforms and all that. I visited the Tupac exhibit in LA last year, and it was by accident. I forgot it was there. I was in LA for a conference, and I looked across the street, and I'm like, oh, there's a Tupac exhibit there. And then it was like, oh, I remember they announced that. The exhibit was fantastic, right? I did a whole episode on it, like basically a review of it, and I felt like at that time I even learned more about Tupac that I didn't know, especially in his early days, especially some of the things that were provided for his early days. So when I look at a docuseries like this, And I'm not saying I'm Tupac's number one fan. I just kind of feel, well, is this going to be worth my time? I don't know, you know. But given the track record of Allen Hughes with the Defiant Ones and the dynamic of Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine's relationship and how they were able to craft that story and present it to you. Obviously, they had the benefit of those two individuals still being with us. But I think if they're going to do this, it's probably worth watching. So if you would like to see me do a review of that series, which will give me some incentive to watch it, I'm down to do it. I'm a Tupac fan. Obviously, it's interesting. It will add more to the legend of Tupac, I'm assuming. And it might be worth it to check it out regardless. But nevertheless, I just kind of felt like, look, man, like what else we gonna talk about? Because we done Tupac to death. There's other people around who are still here, and that's no disrespect to Tupac, but we tend to go a little too far with the coverage, and at some point, it feels less like paying homage and more like exploitation. To be honest, not saying that's what this is. I just hope it's worth it. And I kind of feel like it's going to be worth it. So we'll see. We'll check it out. Jermaine Dupri said, hip hop is hurting and needs reviving. Now, I know Jermaine Dupri is old enough to know and understand the term, what you talking about, Willis. I know his name's not Willis. His name is Jermaine. Not that Jermaine. Not platinum with no features. This Jermaine, right? Let's see why he said that. So in an interview with Vibe, published Monday, but if you're from the future, you know what to do. Get your punk ass out of here. Okay, you already know what we're talking about. The legendary producer expounded on his thoughts when he was asked why he has been producing more on the R&B side in recent years. And this is what he said, and I quote, I feel like hip hop is definitely hurting and needs reviving. I have to go ahead and say this. For the last 20 years, Atlanta's always had at least 5 to 6 top rappers at one time. Right now, Atlanta's dropped down to 2 top artists, Lil Baby and Future. There's a lot of talent in the city still. I don't want anybody to screw what I'm saying, but that top tier where you have Ludacris, Jeezy, 2 Chainz, Migos, Future, Lil Baby. I mean, at one point, all of this was Atlanta. This was all where all the top tier rap artists came from. And he added one other thing. I'm not talking about artists that just make records, but number one songs, artists that people feel like define the game. Rap to me became a little stale, but I've never stopped making rap records. As a producer, people continue to want me to produce R&B records. I don't want you to produce any records, Jermaine. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. But let's talk about what he has to say. Now, honestly, when I read that headline, I thought he was going to say something else because hip hop is hurting in a whole nother way. That has to do with what's been going on with drill music, and not the music itself, but the results of the music. All these beefs, all these murders. Hip hop needs to heal in that regard. But let's talk about what Jermaine Dupri actually means. And in some ways, I could see that. But I guess what he needs to understand, if he's just talking about his region, his town, and how there used to be multiple artists who were on top, and now it feels like it's only 2 who people pay attention to. Well, that's inevitable. You know why? Because as much as those artists that he named are different from one another, people get fatigued. People will get fatigued if your town becomes hot and everything that comes out of there blows. Pause. I know y'all want me to say that. Then after a while, people will get tired of hearing about your town. It just happens. It happened with New York, right? At one point, People just didn't want to hear lyrical, spiritual New York no more. They didn't want to hear boom bap until it was gone. Then once it was gone, and New York rappers started to sound like Atlanta rappers and rappers from elsewhere, well, then they wanted New York rappers to get back to it. But I think it was too late until Griselda brought it back. So to me, it's 50 years of hip hop. It's inevitable that hip hop fans and their interests will sway and sometimes come back around to what they like. Your job is to ride the wave. You know what I mean? Whether you want to get off or you want to stay on and say, this is the wave. How can I best capitalize on this? Maybe I need to be quiet. Maybe I need to go over here and make R&B because the fans are kind of tired of everybody that comes out of Atlanta. That shouldn't be the case, but with rap, it is, because nowadays, I mean, we so bombarded with album after album, project after project, mixtape after mixtape, and that's all coming from the same artist. And it's almost spoiled us to the point where we don't have enough time to sit with a record, with a single, right? There might be a single that might be the song of the summer, and you just want to play that song the whole summer. Like, for example, there's a song that to me just will ever be ingrained in my brain, bars, as the song of my holiday. And that's Sweet Yams, okay? Whether it's Fetty Wap or the other dudes who did it, I don't care. All I know is I discovered it during Thanksgiving, and it just seemed proper to play it about 54 times in a row. I laid off of it a little bit. Christmas time came around, and I hit it again. I got a lot of pause-worthy lines in this episode. Whatever. But you get what I'm saying, right? You love it until you're so full, you're just like, all right, that is enough. So I think in a lot of ways, fans are just looking for something refreshing, something new from somewhere else so they can fan out again. It doesn't mean they dislike what they used to like. It just means that they just want to see something else happen at some point in time. And honestly, at one point I thought, well, it just belongs to Atlanta now, because they keep coming out with different dudes that take the mantle, and I don't think it's ever going to stop. And in some ways, it hasn't. Just the mere fact that Lil Baby and like Future still draw so much attention says we're still looking at Atlanta. We just need somebody else to come out. So rap does need some healing and some reviving to say that variety is a good thing, regardless of where you're coming from. But cats are too busy like arguing on Twitter and stuff like that. I don't know. Whatever. And lastly, so Skyzoo dropped a new album, and I'm going to make sure I get it right. It's called The Mind of a Saint. It is inspired by and based upon and told from the perspective of Franklin Saint from the hit TV show Snowfall, which will be coming up on its final season. First out the gate, for those who just want to know what I think, shouts to Skyzoo. My first thoughts, perfect timing, homie, because the last season is about to drop. They need to give you a bag because you're probably getting people ready for it. Secondly, Skyzoo is one of the most underrated, slept on in some cases, consistent MCs the game has ever seen. This man does not cheat you as a hip hop fan who needs potent lyrics, who needs concepts, who needs boom baps. Boom baps. What's that? You know, that's when you put the boom in the baps together. Whatever. Jazzy hip hop, right? He's just consistent every trip. He just puts out stuff that's dope, that checks the hip hop box with authority. And he's from Brooklyn, okay? Y'all know I'm from Brooklyn. Yo, you already know. But my initial thoughts with this album is that it's good, but I have a couple of questions. It's good, but do you have to be a fan of Snowfall to even care? I think so. It's good, but is it? Let me explain. Skyzoo is so consistent that it can become monotone. The lyrics, the beats, the delivery, regardless of the concept. For some, if you've heard 3 Skyzoo albums, you've heard them all. Now that's almost disrespectful, but it's not, because it's about how listeners hear music. Of course, there's people like me and you who know this is totally different from his last project. This is totally different from Retropolitan. This is totally different from Music for My Friends. It is. But because his flow doesn't really change, his voice, his inflections, not his voice, but his inflections don't really change. And the subject matter is not too far away from things he's already rapped about, that some people who are not paying close attention can just write it off as, meh, it's not whack, but it's just, it is what it is. But let me tell you why I like it, right? You didn't think I was going to say that. I like it because I'm a Snowfall fan, because I like the fact that I feel like he watched episodes of the show. Obviously, he watched episodes of the show, seasons of the show, and took what he thought the main character would think in specific situations. In particular, highlights throughout this series, which for me as a fan of the show stood out, because you know what it's like? It's like getting bonus content. It's like deleted scenes, right? Like, this is dialogue you didn't get from Franklin on the show, and Skyzoo is delivering it, and it's not off from what you know the character to be. I think the variety, I like the clips from the show being inserted in there to remind you of where you are in this part of the song, or this story, or this concept in the song. So I think as an album, as a concept album, it's pretty dope. It's one of the best. But the prerequisite, I think, is you would need to have watched the show and loved the show. But maybe, just maybe, if you've never seen the show, but you like Skyzoo and you like this album, well, maybe now you'll watch the show because of Skyzoo. So I said all of that to say, I think it's a dope album. Obviously, I need to listen to it some more to see if I think it's one of the best of the year. Honestly, there's nothing whack on here. Nothing is whack. The production is on point. The lyrics is on point. The storytelling is on point. I know I'm saying a lot of points, but you get my points. Bars, that's bars today if you say the same word at the end and all that. But you get what I mean. Like, it's a good album. Even if the story was original, it would be good. It probably would be better, right? But I really feel like it depends upon your relationship with the television show. Because for me, knowing that Skyzoo was making a concept album where he told stories from the perspective of this character of a show that I grew to love, I was excited. I already knew what I was going to get because I already know Skyzoo and I already know the show. And I know the track record of both being combined is just great. And I pray that we're watching and we get to hear one of his records playing off of this. So with that being said, no, it's not a full-blown review. You can look at it that way, but if I was going to recommend this to someone, I would say, if you like boom bap, if you like, hip hop with a jazzy feel to it, storytelling, you like concepts, you love the show Snowfall, Franklin's your favorite character, you should check out Skyzoo's new album, Mind of a Saint, because I think it's pretty dope, and I think already is one of the best of 2023. That's going to do it for me. You can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Vegas World INC. And please remember, this podcast is available wherever you get your podcasts. All you have to do is search with using the words Hip Hop Now Podcast, hit that subscribe button, review it on Apple Podcasts, if you will, and stay locked into weekly hip hop content. But most importantly, share it with people you know enjoy this kind of content. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Until next time, y'all, I'm not a critic, I'm a fan. Peace.